Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well. You're amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. It's Wednesday. It's wicked Wednesday. This is video 2 of 3 because we're going live tonight. So join us there. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I go live, and like the video. It's free. $3.99, baby. $3.99. What are we doing in this video? We're going right back to the start. I'm going to go through this in the live, but I appreciate not everyone is into lives. Don't have time to sit around for an hour plus having a chat, so I thought I'd do this quickly, just to refresh people's minds, because I think there's a very important piece of information to remind us of where this all began, where it all started, and some of the little things that give a nod to what we're learning now in this crime, and shed a little bit of light on things. And what one am I talking about? I'm talking about this, right? So you will have seen me flash this up on the screen in video 1 earlier, when we looked at Heather Fitzgerald's video. But it says, Bryan Kohberger initially agreed to speak to law enforcement, then invoked right to counsel lawyer, right? Bryan Kohberger, the man charged with murdering 4 University of Idaho students, initially waived his right to counsel and agreed to speak with law enforcement following his arrest. So let's just look at that, right? So they go to him and he says, I've been arrested. Yeah, I don't need, just think, they've just crashed into his fucking house, like a scene from a movie. And he still turns around and says, no, I'll have a chat. I'll have a chat. Something happens in that conversation that then prompts him to think, hold on a second, I'm fucked there. If you were guilty of this crime, in my opinion, if you was guilty and they've just crashed in the house like that, you're getting a lawyer straight away. Straight away. But he doesn't, because I think he feels confident that he can go in there and say, look, weren't me. But I think, and I spoke on this earlier, I think that at this point, the question is going to be, where was you X time, X date? And he cannot satisfy the Idaho law's request for the alibi in terms of what that has to look like. And he knows he's screwed. At that point, he knows, hold on, I can't get out of this, I need a lawyer. But then he requested an attorney, according to the public defender representing him in Pennsylvania, right? Kohberger, 28, was taken into custody just before 2 a.m. last Friday morning at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. He faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary for the deaths of Katie Gonsalves, Madison Mogans, Anna Canola, and Ethan Chabin at a home near campus last November. Kohberger is being held at the Monroe County Correctional Facility until an extradition hearing scheduled for tomorrow. He's calm. He's fully aware. He's obviously very intelligent. He already has a master's. It shouldn't shock anyone that he's intelligent, said Jason LaBar, Chief Public Defender for Monroe County, who will represent Kohberger at what is expected to be a brief extradition hearing Tuesday. Kohberger had just completed his first semester as a PhD student studying criminal justice and criminology at Washington State University in Pullman when he was taken into custody. LaBar told Law and Crimes and Jeanette Levy that Kohberger spoke with law enforcement for 5 to 15 minutes at Pennsylvania State Police Barracks following his arrest early last Friday morning. Initially, Kohberger waived his Miranda rights, but then requested an attorney. LaBar said Kohberger told him that police asked his client if he understood what was going on. He responded by saying something to the effect of, yes, certainly I'm aware of what's going on. I'm 10 miles away from this. Then LaBar said Kohberger invoked his right to counsel and asked for an attorney. Moscow police said they seized the 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. LaBar confirmed Kohberger drove that vehicle. Police had initially asked last month for any information about a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra and said they had registrations for 22,000 vehicles that matched that description. Police executed search warrants at Kohberger's apartment in Pullman and seized several items and also searched his parents' home in Pennsylvania. Kohberger arrived in Pennsylvania in mid-December, Labar said. His father flew to Washington to make the drive back with his son, and what Labar said was a trip planned before the start of the school year. So they were always going to do that drive, always going to do it. In an effort to beat the incoming snowstorm. Bryan isn't denying he was in Pullman through mid-December, Labar said. He also said he assumes law enforcement has his GPS data available through his mobile phone. So Bryan Kohberger, who has a special he's very aware of cloud-based forensics, right? And he is obviously well aware that he can be tracked via his mobile phone. So please ask me, if he's going to do this crime, why would he take his phone? In what world would he take his phone? And if people want to turn around and say, well, he'd turn it off. He'd turn his phone off. Still, why would he just not leave his phone at home? Why would he just not leave the phone sitting at home, playing a video or watching something on YouTube, anything like that? Why would he take his phone to this place where he's planning on doing this crime to know that he's going to have to turn the phone off, which he knows if he ever gets under the spotlight, then they're going to know that. They're going to see, they're going to look, they're going to be able to check, they're going to be able to look at what phones are on the system, what phones go on the system, when they go off, when they come back on. He's going to know all this. So why does he just not leave his phone at home? Simple fix, done, boss. This entire situation vanishes just through one tiny little action. Kohberger's family released a statement over the weekend through Labar. First and foremost, we care deeply for the 4 families who have lost their precious children. There are no words that can adequately express the sadness we feel, and we pray each day for them, the statement read. We will continue to let the legal process unfold, and as a family, we will love and support our son and brother. We have fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence, rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions. Kohberger's parents cannot afford a lawyer for him, so he will have to have a public defender in Idaho. Little is known about Kohberger, but former classmates, listen here, have come forward to share their recollections of him. They requested anonymity after law enforcement requested they not speak publicly about Bryan Kohberger. So why would law enforcement request that they not speak publicly about him? Oh, you can't say anything public. Why? Because people could come out and say good stuff about him, and they just wanted to control the narrative, so everything that was being said was just this barrage of abuse and this just consistent bad stuff. So nobody had anything good to see and read. That to me is just, don't speak publicly about Kohberger. Fuck off. For us, freedom of speech, mate. We can say whatever we want. Do you know what I mean? Even back then, before we'd even got into the going towards the trial and the gag order, they are already gagging people way back then. You can't say anything about him. You can't say anything public about him. A man who attended DeSales University in Pennsylvania with Kohberger during their undergraduate studies recalled a tall, awkward student who often spoke over professors in a superior manner. Remember, now we're talking about ASD, and think about how that goes into how he is with people, and how that could be, assessed, probably wrongfully assessed by those around him who perhaps don't know that this exists within him. Words can't really describe my shock. It's pretty surreal, the man said. He added that he noticed a slight change in Kohberger's appearance from the undergraduate years. He definitely looked sort of gaunt and emaciated at this point, a little older. The man stated, because he was a little older. The former classmate described how he remembered Kohberger in classes. He's definitely an awkward figure, very tall, skinny, the former student said. He added that the desks at DeSales were somewhat small, so Kohberger, who stands around 6 feet tall, barely fit in the small desks. He said he viewed Kohberger as an outcast because he was clearly someone who was very interested in criminal justice, in a deep way, but didn't take part in extracurricular activities surrounding the major, such as Criminal Justice Club and Criminal Justice Conference. Many of the other students attended, but not all of them, just many of them. So he wasn't the only one who didn't go. He was just one of some that didn't go. While Kohberger willingly spoke in class, he didn't socialize with other students in the major outside of class. He's definitely articulate, but stuck on minor details. Again, this is a nod to ASD and pointing out flaws in what the professor was saying. Sometimes he made good points. There are times people were like, "Can you please shut up so we can move on? It's not really relevant," the former classmate recalled. Again, this is a nod to ASD, where he can't he has to go on and on and on. I've literally dealt with this morning with our daughter who is ASD, to have a conversation that was about a TikTok video that she had seen about a pink pigeon, clearly made by AI, and I get into a 20-minute conversation with Freya because she now wants a pink pigeon. Bearing in mind she is 16 years old. So that's ASD for you. The DeSales graduate said he was in 2 classes with Kohberger, one about criminal theory taught by Michelle Bolger, PhD, and a second taught by Catherine Ramsland, PhD, that focuses on serial killers. The DeSales alumnus said that in Bolger's class, Kohberger would sometimes talk over the professor. Ramsland told Law and Crime over the weekend that she is not making statements to the media at this time because we learn that there's a potential that she had reached out in order to support and offer guidance and help to the Kohberger family, because she had she said that Bryan Kohberger was a fantastic student, one of the best she'd taught. And Howard Blumber would lead you to believe that Bryan Kohberger was in love with Ramsland and did this crime to prove that he could do it for her, seemingly. The former student said that the class on serial killer focuses on the psychology and anatomy of the brain, and that the material was presented professionally and deftly. Bolger has not responded to an email seeking comment. Another former DeSales student said she didn't know Kohberger well, but remembered him in their master's program as being quiet and a bit strange. Again, could be a nod to ASD. The woman added he kept to himself and had a deadpan look in his eyes if you looked at him. Again, this nod to ASD. Meanwhile, an undergraduate student at Washington State University recalled taking a class last semester where Bryan Kohberger was a teaching assistant. She recalled Kohberger only being in class 3 or 4 times during the semester, and a professor, John Snyder, telling the class that Kohberger was a harsh grader. For that reason, she said she never approached him. She recalls Snyder telling Kohberger to be nice when grading and joking that he could be hard on students' papers, which again, if he's got ASD and he is looking at them and he's seeing issues and seeing that it isn't how he perhaps wants it to be, then he is going to come across as being quite harsh. That is not anything out of the realms of normality when it comes to that to ASD. He always got straight to the point when reviewing my papers. Pretty blunt, the student said. Professor Snyder has not responded to an email seeking comment. Kohberger's extradition hearing will be held Tuesday afternoon in Monroe County at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. He could be returned to Idaho shortly thereafter. Barr confirmed that Kohberger was a strict vegan. So again, a strict vegan. Leather, knife sheath, and strict vegan. Strict veganism with a knife sheath. Was the Amazon purchase a gift for someone? Was it a gift for someone? Was it a gift for his father, perhaps? There's obviously something that's floating around with all this, which hopefully during the trial we'll learn more about it. But just say he was using a family account and he was indeed buying it as a gift, and he didn't want the person who was buying it, because it might have been his dad, for instance, to see that he'd bought it. Maybe that would explain. Again, I'm just trying to run through my head scenarios in which the purchase makes sense, him not having it if he doesn't have it, and if he did indeed purchase it, why all of these things could easily be explained, and why, again, it's premature for people to say, "Oh, that's it, he's done. He's done, mate. He's definitely done. He's definitely done it." You've got to wait and listen to everything, and just step back a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Some people are so quick to see something and think, oh, that's it, he's done. Done then. I appreciate it moves the needle, but at no point, and that's why it should be innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury of your peers. That's it. That's how it should be. It says he's a strict vegan. That Monroe County Correctional Facility is making accommodations for his diet. However, Labar said he is most concerned about Kohberger's rights as a criminal defendant. I do not want Bryan tried in the court of public opinion, Labar said. Let's wait until the facts come out. Let's not assume anything. It's so important you don't jump to conclusions. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it? This crime is about not jumping to conclusions, not looking at something and thinking, "Oh, that's it then. This is done. This is a done deal." And he now at this point deserves to be executed. It's not how this should work. He has rights. You all have rights as American citizens to be treated in a specific way. And so many of you guys are ignoring that. It's like, because it doesn't affect you personally, you're happy to remove those rights from another individual, when so many things around this crime are not watertight yet. And they're just not. They're simply not. And like I spoke on earlier on today, even with Steve Gonsalves coming forward, it would seem to suggest that even his family are potentially still asking questions. But he then wants to try and overpower that by saying, no, this is the guy, this is the guy. And I have to ask the question once again, how is it that even Steve Gonsalves manages to do a 180 in a period of time while simultaneously proving that he's seemingly not going by anything other than what we're seeing and his interpretation of that? And it hasn't yet gone through the trial. It hasn't yet been proven that this guy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So anybody, especially, I imagine, people whose children were involved in this, they absolutely would want justice. The people, persons, whatever, to be held accountable for that crime. And there is so many questions that are currently being overlooked in this crime. And I can't work out why. I'll catch you all later on tonight in the live. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We'll have a chat together. Ask each other some questions. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday till then. Love you all. Mwah.